Make sure you didn't put the speed sign there.
That's okay too.
Yeah, we'll put it in there.
Yeah, we appreciate that.
Yeah,
Because we needed it back.
yeah. And it's not fixed all, it's just a
It's a reminder though.
reminder, and see, when we get done, we'll have the data to tell us how many people are speeding. And in the subdivision, we don't write anybody until it's 10 over, you know, little flags. Now, to go over that, and most of the subdivisions we've done have been like, in a 7-day period, maybe 4 people, like 6. And, you know, it's not that much.
How do you go back and get speed back in there?
Now, these people here, they got it.
You saw the new one.
No. Not the moment.
Yeah, there is one, yeah. These put up the speed sign on one road, and there was no speed limit sign on it. It's kind of hard for me to set the speed limit sign, so we got those.
The rain had helped the bees on.
It helped. And Little Mount, we.
It was getting dry.
Chance to get some more. Several citations.
We're gonna have to call the game word back.
Yeah.
I got a nice herd of about 17 deer behind Mom's house that are enjoying the soybeans.
Lay them down. How are you?
They're
How are you? How you doing? Good to see you, bro. Yeah.
they're about I mean, there's 17 deer in the
Oh, okay, I was thinking more like
Wayne, Daisy, the day farm, but they gave up.
Okay.
I want to say 50 or 70 at the fairgrounds last year.
Already?
And he's aiming on killing 50 or so down here at Taylorsville this year. So.
Digital signatures, right?
Get out and drag them out. Drag them out. It's funny with service. Probably all in the shines, there's valleys, and it looks really hard. I got them, and then I guess bugs that eat them up.
Hey, you see him leave?
It's over for eating things. If you don't mind catching that.
I don't know.
You have to get a permit.
He talked to the game warden. After a certain time, he would shoot him, let him lay. And then after a time, you can donate. So there's, we can call and find out.
Well,
Wherever you're through that,
yeah, whenever you through tearing up stuff, yeah.
Yeah, I am.
Just don't bother
Yeah, don't bother to clean stuff, he's trying to show his sensitive side that we've never seen.
I like that. That means again.
Have you ever seen a sensitive sign? Anybody? I didn't think so. I didn't think so.
I'm gonna get with these from you later, but I don't have one today.
Fair enough. Hey, you did my email,
I have no idea.
no problem.
Each bike has a button on the bottom. So you just have to push for all those on. And that, these are probably.
You got it? You got all that open records? No, I don't need all that. I've got all the information.
That thing, like what buttons. Okay, there's 2 buttons on the back of each speaker. And the buttons in here. You on that? I don't know what that, that is on there.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, that's right. Father God in heaven, we thank you for this day. We thank you for this opportunity that we can come and discuss your county business. And as we always do, we ask for your guidance and your wisdom in making these decisions, because we know that there are a lot of tough decisions that affect a lot of people in the county. We just ask for your guidance with that. We thank you for your Son, Jesus Christ. And it's in his name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Everyone join me in the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Pledge allegiance to the Kentucky flag, the sovereign state for which it stands, one commonwealth, plus with diversity, natural wealth, beauty, and grace from on high.
All right, we're ready to get started. It is July 7th, 2021, 1 o'clock, and if the clerk will please call the roll, please.
Squire Brewer,
Here.
Squire Mike Moody,
Present.
Squire Beaverson, absent. Squire, Judge Riley,
Yes. Here.
Squire Travis,
Here.
Squire Jared Moody.
Here.
Okay, we're ready to do business. First item of business, entertain a motion to excuse the absence of Squire Beavers.
So moved.
We got a motion
Second.
and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And that is done. First of all, wish everybody a happy new year. That's a new fiscal year, by the way. So we are now into it, and we'll be wrapping up the previous fiscal year with all the financials and so forth. First item of business will be approval of the minutes of prior court meetings, and we'll take June 21st. Anybody wish to make a motion?
Motion to approve the minutes from the June 21st meeting. Any needed additions, corrections?
Okay, we got a motion.
Second.
Anybody know any corrections? If not, call the roll.
Squire Mike Moody,
Yes.
Judge Riley,
Yes.
Squire Travis,
Yes.
Squire Jared Moody,
Yes.
Squire Brewer.
Yes.
Okay, the next item is yeah. All right. I noticed last week that there was an error in the meeting minutes to our June 7th meeting. It was in regard to the EMS billing issue, where we're switching billing services. So I've got a motion here, and I've passed this out to all of you all, and the clerk has it. Motion is to acknowledge an error in the meeting minutes from June 7th, 2021 meeting regarding EMS billing issue, and to affirm the correct motion was to, quote, end the billing contract with Elevos, formerly known as EMS Consultants, and enter into a new billing contract with 911 Billing Services and Consultant Inc. in Madisonville, Kentucky. And I'll go ahead and make that motion, if I can get a second.
Second.
We've got a motion and a second, and it was just a simple error. And that is in your packet. It should have been moved to 911 Billing Services instead of EMS Consultants. So, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes, and we've got that done. So we'll move on. Communications from Judge Executive. I've got, I've passed these out to you. Some of them I've previously emailed. I just want to make sure you all have these. Seems like there's been abundance of declarations of emergency. June 28th, to start with, we had an issue with the HVAC system, AC system over at the EMS offices. So I went ahead and declared an emergency. We needed to get Dwight Martin on that as quickly as possible, and I believe he's still not finished with it, but he is working on it. And so I just wanted you all to be aware of that. I think I emailed that to you. Then on the 5th of July, which was Monday, we had a situation with a malfunctioning lift station over at the Top Flight Landings sewer plant. When Chris notified me of it as the emergency management administrator, I wanted him to have anything available that he needed. That we didn't know what the extent of it was at that time, but I just went on and declared the emergency so that if he needed to engage contractors or whoever, that he had the ability to do that. So as it turned out, it was not as bad as what we was prepared for, I guess. So I just wanted you all to have those. Let's see if I've got anything else. Just want to let you all know our road foreman is now a granddaddy. He's got a little granddaughter yesterday, and just want to wish him well. And he's not proud or anything, but he's very proud. Anyway, with that, I'm going to go ahead and move on to communications from citizens. Do we have anybody wish to address the board?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Here's what I need.
Yes, please.
Thank you very much. My name is Kathy Summers. I live at 212 The Landings. It's my husband Bill. We just came to, with the blessings of many of our neighbors, came to address the issue of the zoning change from R1 to R2. All of us are very concerned. We tried to express those concerns. We don't feel those have been heard or addressed. We do appreciate the letter from Brett Beaverson that he sent to you, allowing you to know that we didn't feel like our concerns were heard. I've been in touch with Mr. Travis and Mr. Beaverson, and I sent an email to all of you all expressing my concerns. Last year during the zoning and committee meeting, we were not allowed to be a part of that. Some were on a very limited basis because of COVID, and we all know that that was a problem for a lot of meetings. We know that Mr. Cannonberg, the owner of the sewer, feels like that he's going to be able to accommodate the additional homes that have been proposed by our developer, Mr. Brown, and the other fellows that are building homes there. But with the recent development of the sewer pump problems and the possible contamination of our waterways, we don't feel like that might be able to happen even with the put in of new pumps by Mr. Brown and the other persons developing the properties. We also have concerns over traffic and speed, and with the development of an R2, we know that that'll be many more homes. We are very respectful of the silo farms and the Goble farms remaining the R1 development of their developments. We moved here from Jefferson County with the ideal that we were moving into an R1 development, and that is the concern of almost all of our residents, especially in Top Flight Landings. So we just wanted to bring those concerns to you and let you know that it's not just a small group of people that are concerned, but a very large group of people that are concerned. Thank you so much for the opportunity to speak.
Okay. Just want to mention that we're not here for a public hearing on that issue, but this
Yes,
is
sir.
citizens' comments, so
Yes, sir.
we welcome those. Anyone else wish to address the court? Larry, go ahead.
Several of the magistrates and Counselor Jones, you've received my emails containing
numerous PDF files, open records requests, ranging probably up to 1,000 documents. And if you read those PDF files, you see that the Top Flight wastewater treatment plant is in process, or has been in process, of receiving numerous violations, notice of violations from enforcement of the Kentucky Division of Water. I spoke with the Specialist Enforcement Officer, Mr. DeMint, concerning the March 12th conference letter where they were fined $16,000. And as of today, there's no additional information. There's no records, there's no documents. We all know how government works. Government is impotent, it's incompetent, it's a cluster. I don't have any faith that they're going to get this straightened out. You see this simple little thing? It's a wet wipe. And I know that it's caused problems in septic tanks, on cruise ships, and sewer package plants. And supposedly that's the culprit that caused the problem with the lift station, because they didn't have the correct impeller or shredder and backed it up. I had an informant ask me this question. Wet wipes have been out for years, not just since last year COVID. Why hasn't this guy, Mr. Kannenberg, addressed this? Did all of a sudden wet wipes start becoming a problem in the last week? So when is that problem going to get fixed? Is it going to get fixed this week? Is it going to get fixed a month from now, 12 months from now? Look, at the end of the day, the plant's got problems. Either it's because it's too little sewage, or the plant's getting older, the money, maintenance. And Trevor Brown wants to put on whatever number of households. Bottom line is, you need to deny it, make him build it on acre, and at the very least, counselor, you're creative, you've been a defense lawyer, come up with a plan of either requiring a bond or something that the sewer plant operator or that the builder is going to have to put a bond or something to where if this plant goes defunct and can't be rebuilt or there's no money, that these people that buy these homes understand clearly that when they buy these homes, they're responsible. So if it costs $2.5 million to get the plant up and running, it's theirs. It's not fiscal courts. It doesn't go back to the state of Kentucky. Now, I think that's fair. You guys are reassessing your road bond rules, aren't you? Because of the price increases? And you've been worked over in the past. And this is another case. Trevor Brown is going to sell these houses, max out the plant, and then he's going to leave. He's going to make his money.
All right. Anyone else wish to address the court? This is not a public hearing, so I just want to stress that we are not here to hear testimony about a rezoning issue during this segment of our meeting. This is strictly for citizens' comments. So we're not going to hold a public hearing. We're not going to hold a public hearing. That was
What good is, the government is for people.
okay, and that's what we're going to do. We're going to listen to the people.
Trevor Brown, I'm the developer. I just want to clarify a few things. One, when I purchased the development, it was proposed as a golf course.
I think we're getting into an area, Counselor, or
He's actually here.
yeah, we have not advertised anything with regard to a public hearing, and so I just want to be cautious. We are not here for a public hearing this morning. And, you're a citizen, and you're commenting as a citizen.
Okay.
Okay? Just want to clarify.
Very good. And I'll try to stay within my bounds. So, we've done everything. There's going to be growth in Spencer County, and responsible growth comes down to, would we rather have it on septic systems or on sewers? A lot of municipalities, if you're close to it, they require you to be on sewers. If you do acre lots, you're not going to put it on sewers because it's not financially feasible to do that. So municipalities require that. And that's one thing where we think this is an ideal place for Spencer County's going to grow, and it needs to grow responsibly. As far as concerns of traffic, we are putting in a third entrance to the subdivision, which it's the only subdivision to have 3 entrances. We won't be doing anything on this new phase or selling any lots until the third entrance is open, to give that. As far as what Lauren says, I agree with the fact that there should be, I would love for there to be some type of bond on Jack Cannonberg. I don't own the treatment plant, I don't have anything to do with it. You know, we pay fees just like we pay Taylorsville to tap on. I would love to see that, because I don't want him to be able to walk out. So, you know, a lot of people, I know people are concerned about traffic, but also I've had a lot of people contact me that are happy that we're doing it because they know it's gonna be the same type of development. It's not gonna be a tract builder coming in, it's not gonna be somebody else coming in. And the property was zoned initially with the intent of these smaller lots. But the county came in and changed the requirements of what went on a smaller lot. So technically, when it was zoned with the intent of smaller lots. It's just that the zoning regulations created a new category, which then put this out of compliance. So, that's what I have to say.
All right. Anyone else wish to address the court this morning? Public comments? All right, we're going to close that portion of our meeting and move on to communications from members, other officers, and committees. And we're up to zoning readings and recommendations. Julie, let me get Julie. No.
Yeah, Brittany is up front helping me try to figure out some technical issues too, so we've got a couple of different things going on. So will you all prefer first readings first, or?
First readings first.
I guess, well, I apologize. I may not have it all together. I do too many things this morning, I apologize.
We've actually got Stoplight and Ostrasser under old business.
Okay, I don't have my minutes for my first readings in my hand. So if we do second readings, can I come back and do,
Is that all?
or do you wanna just
what
skip
all
me
do
and come
you have?
back?
What all do you have?
I have 4 first readings.
4 first readings, what about second reading?
I have 4 of those also.
Okay, is Stoplight or Ostrasser,
That is one of my first readings.
Ostrasser?
I mean, a second reading.
Second reading. Okay, we're gonna do that under old business, so, because there might be some discussion on it.
Okay. Do you just
So-
wanna move all my stuff to old business?
I can, yeah. Will you have your minutes?
Yeah.
Okay.
You all have my minutes, I just don't have.
I'll let you get those and we'll go
Okay.
on and cover some stuff. Just let me know when you're
Okay,
ready,
all right. I thought I had them stuck on the front of the folder and I'm wrong.
We're gonna move on to
Okay,
Chris,
yeah.
EMS director, this one.
Or do you want to use the ones Doug has?
You can do that.
I said, I'm sorry.
No
I
problem.
had 2 things going this morning, it's terrible. Okay, so let's do first reading.
All right.
Okay, we have an application of Anna Chester for Darius Chester requesting Ag 1 agricultural to R3 residential on 2.49 acres located at 235 Grace Run Road. Oh, it just confused me really good, Doug. Okay, Commissioner Travis made a motion to recommend the rezoning of Anna F. Chester for Darius Chester requesting Ag 1 agricultural to R3 residential on a total of 2.49 acres located at 235 Grace Run Road, known as Lot 15A, 16A of the Frank Young Division. The recommended land use map in the comprehensive plan recommends medium density residential. The change would be in compliance with the comprehensive plan, and there was no one present or on Zoom to speak against it. In addition, they added a binding element of one single-family dwelling on a foundation with a front porch and a deck or patio on the back. That motion was second, motion carried. So that again is just a first reading.
All right.
Next, I have the application of Andrea L. Cantu requesting Ag 1 agricultural to R1 residential on 0.71 acres located on Plum Creek Road, which is Lot 4 of the Williams-Waldridge Division. Commissioner Fowl made a motion to recommend to rezone that application for Andrea L. Cantu requesting Ag 1 agricultural to R1 single family on 0.71 acres located on Plum Creek Road, Lot 4 of the Williams-Waldridge Division. The recommended land use map in the comprehensive plan recommends low-density residential. The change would be in compliance with the comprehensive plan. The commission was aware of the lot size being 0.71 acres. It's a non-conforming lot, which was okay in 1977 when it was platted. There was no one present or on Zoom to speak against the application. Commissioner Wheatley seconded that motion. Motion carried. Next, I have the application of Rebecca Wilson requesting R2 residential to R1 single family on 3.00 acres located at 2818 Taylorsville Road. Commissioner Clayton made a motion to recommend to rezone the application of Rebecca L. Wilson requesting R2 residential to R1 single family on 3.00 acres located at 2818 Taylorsville Road. The comprehensive plan recommended land use map indicates the area should be medium density residential. The change would be in compliance with the comprehensive plan, and there was no one there or on Zoom to speak against it. Commissioner Knoll seconded that motion. Motion carried. And our fourth one for first reading is the application of Darrell Patterson requesting Ag 1 agricultural to Ag 2 agricultural on 5.036 acres located in the 1100 block of Dutchman's Creek Road. Commissioner Clayton made a motion in honor of Mr. Patterson's father that they recommend to rezone the application of Darrell Patterson requesting Ag 1 agricultural to Ag 2 agricultural on 5.036 acres located in the 1100 block of Dutchman's Creek Road. The recommended land use map in the comprehensive plan recommends low-density residential, and the change would be in compliance with the comprehensive plan. There was no one present or on Zoom to speak against it. That motion was seconded by Commissioner Travis. Motion carried. So that's all of our first readings.
Okay, and we have some second.
I have the application of Jacob and Tara Brown requesting R1 residential to Ag 1 agricultural on 15 acres located on Elk Chase Drive, known as Lot 107C Elk Chase subdivision. Commissioner Wheatley made a motion to recommend to rezone the application of Jacob and Tara Brown requesting R1 single-family residential to Ag 1 agricultural on 15 acres located on Elk Chase Drive, also known as Lot 107C of Elk Chase subdivision. The recommended land use map of the comprehensive plan recommends low-density residential. The change would be in compliance with the comprehensive plan, and there was no one present or on Zoom to speak against it. Commissioner Mudd seconded that motion. Motion carried. Let's see, Elk Chase on Plum Ridge, so.
Make a motion that we approve the recommendation by planning and zoning on facts and findings of planning and zoning commission.
A motion,
Second.
and we got a second. Call roll.
Judge Riley,
Yes.
Squire Travis,
Yes.
Squire Jerry Moody,
Yes.
Squire Brewer,
Yes.
Squire Mike Moody.
Yes.
Have the application of Ken and Paula Sherman requesting Ag 1 agricultural to R1 residential on 4.961 acres located in the 200 block of Ingram Lane. Commissioner Mudd made a motion to recommend to rezone the application of Ken and Paula Sherman requesting Ag 1 agricultural to R1 residential on 4.961 acres located in the 200 block of Ingram Lane. The recommended land use map in the comprehensive plan recommends medium to low density residential, and the change would be in compliance with the comprehensive plan. There was no one present or on Zoom to speak against this application. Commissioner Fowl seconded the motion. Motion carried.
Jerry?
Motion to approve recommendation of planning and zoning based on facts and findings of planning and zoning.
We got a motion,
Second.
we got a second. Call roll, please.
Squire Travis,
Yes.
Squire Jerry Moody,
Yes.
Squire Brewer,
Yes.
Squire Mike Moody,
Yes.
Judge Riley.
Yes. Motion passes. Okay. And
The one that you asked about going up under old business is just the one on Post Roster,
Post
correct?
roster, let's go ahead and take that.
Okay, well, I've got one other one. I've got the Nicole Roof Development LLC requesting R1 residential to R2 residential on 21 acres located on Wills Way and Top Flight Landing.
Okay.
We're gonna move forward with that one.
Forward.
I know it was continued from the last meeting.
I would, that's my district, I'd like to make a motion that we pass on that today and take that up at our next, meeting in July. Since there's information coming out daily, it gives us a little bit more time to prepare.
Got a motion to continue this to our next meeting. That was a second. Okay. And we'll get a second. Call roll, please.
Sir,
Yes.
how does that put us in line with the 90-day requirement?
Your first reading was on May 17th. And I will note,
So it'd be
it was
August
not in the
17th.
minutes.
Plus or minus?
Well, it's 90 days from May 17th.
So it'll be about the middle of August.
Still got some time.
But again, I don't know if that's something that needs to be corrected. When I was going back researching to see that public notice wasn't in the minutes on for the May 17th first reading. It was left out of the minutes. I've got it in all my paperwork, but it's not in your minutes.
Those minutes need to be corrected.
They need to be corrected.
That's the May 17th.
And I look back and
Make a
I
note of
furnished
that.
that information. It just didn't put it in the minutes.
The clock starts May 17th. Anything else? Call roll, please.
Squire Jerry Moody,
Yes.
Squire Brewer,
Yes.
Squire Mike Moody,
Yes.
Judge Riley,
Yes.
Squire Travis.
Yes.
Okay. And the other one is Post Roster.
That one. So we have the application of Top Flight Development from Ag-1 Agricultural to R1 Residential on 12.7 acres located in 2700 block of Klosterosser Road. Commissioner Travis made a motion to rezone Top Flight Development request from Ag-1 Agricultural to R1 Residential on 12.7 acres located in 2700 block of Klosterosser Road. It does meet the guidelines, regulations, and setbacks for planning and zoning. The developer agreed to put a 40-foot setback line in the rear of the lots with a restriction of 1,800 square foot homes to be built of brick, stone, or hardy board, and 40 feet on the back property line. That motion was seconded by Commissioner Knoll. That motion carried.
Okay. That's in my district. I'll make a motion to approve the zoning change recommended based on the facts and findings and recommendations of planning and zoning.
Got a motion. I'm gonna get a second.
Okay, I would like to, I know I've talked to the developer about this, and QK4, I've met with them, we've talked about it, and you have a letter there in your packet describing what our engineers recommended, and Mr. Brown has agreed to abide by that, and as long as he does, maybe we need to put a binding element on that, but I'd like to see, have that done, because the road is paved, they paved it the last couple of days. And the shoulders that we're talking about there, the 2-foot shoulders, he's willing to do that and remove some of the trees. I'd like to put in the motion that, that be completed within 120 days. Is that feasible?
Yep.
And, subject to the approval of the road department and QK4 when it's finished.
It's an additional binding element.
Yes.
Okay, then, let's see, who seconded that?
I'll second.
Okay. Any other issues? As you mentioned, that is already paid. So.
Yeah, can you explain this just a little better?
From the bridge the other end of Hostosser. The section that's in front of the 5 lots we're talking about on Hostosser. When you,
But Julie referred to this as being part of top line.
No, that's the developer.
that's the name of the
Oh.
developer.
Sorry.
Let me give it to you.
Yes.
Anyway, the road, the blacktop, existing blacktop that's on the road now in front of these 5 lots did not conform to the 20 feet of width. It was 18 to 19 feet up to there. And QK4 came out with the developer and myself, and the developer dug up the dirt and gravel and vegetation over the years that's grown up over top of the blacktop on the edges. So they dug down and found that there is a base there that's 20 feet wide. So they cleared that vegetation out and blacktopped it to the 20 foot, which is what it needs to be. And the developer has agreed to put on the one side, which is about a 2 foot drop off on the side that where his 5 lots are going to be, agreed to put a 2 foot shoulder, earthen shoulder on that, and compact it in and seed it, throw it, and the whole deal there. After it was repaved, and there's a few trees right next to the road he was agreed to remove. And so Mr. Brown has agreed to do that. So
What about the other side?
it's actually uphill. There's a little ditch there that really doesn't even come into play.
What size are these lots gonna be?
They're between 2 acres and 2, I think one of them is
So we're not gonna
2.75.
put 4 houses on a half acre?
No, it's almost 8 acres, and we're only doing 5 lots. So they're 2.65, 2.08,
It's 13 acres.
2.71, 2.76, and 2.50.
I think it was, what, 12 acres?
Yeah, it's almost 13
Almost
acres, not
13
8.
12.7.
And it's zoned R1.
Okay, we've got a motion to approve with an additional binding element. Any other comments? Not call roll.
Squire Brewer,
Yes.
Squire Mike Moody,
Yes.
Judge Riley,
Yes.
Squire Travis.
Yes.
Squire Gary Moody.
Yes.
Okay, motion passes.
That's all I have.
All right.
I think.
Again, we're not here to hold a public hearing on any of this, but we do have our county engineers here. I don't know if it's necessary for them to address any of this, but they are our county engineers, so Eric Bean and Jeremiah. I appreciate your all's work on this. All right.
We're going to do the other one right now?
I thought we.
You made a motion to continue.
Okay, I got you. Got you. Yeah,
Is that okay?
that's right. That's what I'm doing.
All right.
That's all you have, right?
That's all I have.
All right. Thanks, Julie. And next up, Chris Lynn.
I don't have much. We did get Med 3, the analyst we spoke about last court meeting into Doxley's. They've went through it, replaced some things, said it's safe, so it's factory service. That's all I really have, unless there's questions on what went on this weekend at the lift stations. And just those for what we did.
Would you, I know we've got some information on it, you and I were out there yesterday looking at it, would you just tell the rest of the court, maybe the ones that hasn't seen actually what is going on, what happened?
I got the notification about between 2 and 2:30 on Monday afternoon from the representative from HEPCO, which was the cleanup company that the owner of the lift station called. When they got there, they realized it was more than they expected that had been bypassed. So he made the notification to myself and to the State Emergency Operations Center, which is typical. Anytime there's a bypass of any lift station, this is reported to the state EOC. Rarely does the local or the state emergency management get involved, but when they got out there, it had been it was more than just a couple hundred gallons, so we had to get involved. By the time I got there, HEPCO was there. There was a septic company there pumping the waste out of the lift station because the pumps, that's the only lift station for the development, and the pumps inside the lift station had failed. So in order to keep the waste from continuing to overflow, the septic company was called. They pumped out, the truck was 4,750 gallons, and he did 3 or 4 of those loads that day, which, and then HEPCO came in and created a berm to stop anything that would come out after we left that night from getting into the waterway. Luckily, they were able to pump enough out that nothing else came out over the night. When we got back yesterday morning, everything was still clean from what they had done the previous day. So yesterday, Jack, and forgive me, I can't pronounce his last name, the owner of the treatment plant was on scene, and with Steve Emily, who's their engineer, spoke some with Steve, and he had got MAC construction in there. They were replacing I believe it's called forced main pipe, and adding to that a bypass pump, which will be diesel operated, so the pump in the lift station, which I fell again, that diesel pump would use that force main to force anything back to the treatment plant and the sewer system. Apparently the pumps inside of that lift station, coupling had broken there, causing the pumps not to function. I didn't get inside the lift station to inspect that myself, but that's what the guy from MACCO had told us. Jim was there when we spoke to him. Division of Water was there, and the State Environmental Response. So Monday, we flew some drones over the creek trying to see how much was in the water. It didn't appear to be massive quantities, but once it's in the water, it's hard to tell. And we had a lot of shadowing from the foliage, and ran into some interference with the video on the drone. We went down to Bluegrass Acres Road, which is off of Normandy. There's a bridge there which gives pretty good access to that creek, which is Buck Creek. I went into the creek and spread a hazmat boom across the creek, which is a floating boom which would catch any, because the waste is staying on top of the water, which would catch any waste that made it that far. It didn't appear at that time that it made it that far. Luckily, we've had some dry weather and the creek didn't have much water in it. So Environmental and Division of Water had HEPCO come up from where we put the boom closer to the actual spill and place straw bales, which will filter and catch anything. And it's having HEPCO pump out and clean out the creek in the areas with the most contamination. That works is probably still going on right now. They dug out a bunch of soil yesterday from where the contaminated sewage had got into the soil around the plant. And based on the weather, they're going to get field dirt back in there and get it graded. We've got some storms coming in, so that work might not be complete this week, but once the weather is permitting, they will get in there and backfill, I guess, would be the right term for what they just dug out and get everything graded there.
Also, and I passed this out to you this morning, got an email late yesterday afternoon from Steve Emily, who is the engineer for Jack, who owns the sewer plant, and pretty detailed about what they're doing. I passed it out to you this morning and also forwarded the email to you, so you've got that information. This is unrelated to the rezoning issue. Eric, do you have any comment on that? Or, I mean, I don't know that it's really even necessary.
I agree with what you're saying. I mean, this really has, for the rezoning, we had some conversation on capacity. But as far as what's going on with this, it's really
It's
no.
totally unrelated to
Matter of fact, what they're tapping onto, the issue that they're having, what they're tapping onto is bypassing what we're talking about.
Okay, so they are on it and, they've done a, not, I think they've done a good job of containing everything and, it's unfortunate, we don't like these things to happen. But evidently these, the pump station could not handle these wipes that are being flushed into the system. So, they've got, and you see in the email, they've got equipment on the way, power, especially power that will shoot those things up and not create a problem. Plus, they're gonna have some alert systems on it to monitor it better.
My understanding is it's putting some sort of alarm system on it which will notify the whoever's in charge of the plant if something were to happen, if the pumps would fail. There's floats in there that once it triggers, I guess gets so much in depth, it'll trigger that float will trigger and we did on the, when the judge declared the emergency on the 5th, Jack Kay was not able to make it out to sign the contract with the cleanup company. I signed it as emergency manager from the county, and Jack is aware that whatever bill was received would be forwarded along to him. We just had to get the contract signed so we could start getting mitigation work underway at the time to keep if more were to come out, to keep that from getting into the waterway, because that Buck Creek runs into the Shear Street, which also runs into Salt River, and anything that runs into the Ohio River, the tributary to that is the other stuff getting that is kind of a big deal. So we just wanted to get that stopped as soon as we could. So the county, under the judge's discretionary orders, I did sign that contract with Petco, and Jack is aware that any cost that comes from that will be forwarded to bond.
Any other questions?
Just a comment, being a home builder myself for years, this system that's in place there is like a huge septic tank that you would have if you were on a septic system, except it holds about 18,000 gallons instead of 1,000 gallons. That's got a pump on it that pumps it up and into the plant. And these pumps, anybody that's ever had an upflush system in their basement to upflush or a sump pump that upflushes, those pumps need to be replaced every so often. They go bad, they set in water all the time. And this is basically what's happened here is these pumps, evidently they've been in there since the beginning, since this thing was built. Well, it basically wore out, got stopped up or whatever, it needed to be replaced. With the people that live over there, you do have a little comfort knowing that this lift station is the only one there, and it's only used by the houses that have gravity flow, which goes, has to be pumped uphill. The whole subdivision does not go into this one system. And when we were out there the other day, they're going to put a diesel pump on there as a bypass in case these pumps in the tank fail again with the alarm system on it. So hopefully this will never happen again. And I'm sure if this rezoning goes through and another pump lift station is constructed, which is part of that, it'll have to be constructed, with these safety devices also.
Yeah, I'm not sure when that lift station was put in. Jack told me when he got on scene yesterday morning that it was original to that whole development back there. Apparently he was not involved with it when that was put in. So I'm not sure whenever that development started and that was put in. The guy from Matco, this is just his words, said once it was repaired that we'd all be gone before it ever had a chance of raising again. That's taken the contractor as well. But they did put in that safety bypass to where if it does fail, it can be bypassed with the pump they're adding, which is going to be on, I guess, a diesel backup. And the valve is going to be above the, access it from above the ground right next to the lift station, so. It's a very similar situation that we dealt with
2015.
2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah.
The one that was abandoned and,
It wasn't abandoned, it was a lift station. Eric, does that lift station up at Top Flight, does it have 2 pumps?
I believe it does, yes, sir.
Okay, so there's a redundancy there in case one pump
It
goes
was almost the
bad.
same situation, it was just,
But yeah, that was a lift station failure. In that case, however, the actual plant had not been maintained, and so we had a more severe problem with the Edgewater / State Park issue, and that eventually was fed into the Taylorsville municipal sewer system, and the plant was removed, and new pump stations and so forth. So, okay. Anybody else have any questions on that? Just want to make it abundantly clear that this is unrelated to the rezoning issue. It's the pump station.
yeah, this pump station, when Jen and I drove yesterday, after we left the pump station, we drove back to where the treatment plant is, and the area for the new, I guess the new development, and they're nowhere near each other, really. It's opposite sides of the subdivision, so, it was just, it's just a better lift station, it's happened, so.
Okay, anything else? What about the AC? Can you,
Oh, the air conditioner unit at the EMS building, along with, in the back of the building, there's 3 units, 2 of which are original to the building, which I believe is 1996, I want to say. One of those original units has been completely banned, which covers a good, well, a third of the building. White Martin came out after we called him because it was just the building was not keeping up. It was going to be really hot in there. Discovered that entire unit outside was bad. Then went into the attic and an air handler.
there's a coil that he's
yeah,
going to need
at
to
first he
purchase.
recommended-
Hopefully he can find
yeah.
one that will fit in the existing system. If
Yes.
not, that whole system will
Yeah,
have to be
he
replaced.
first recommended to change the air handler, then when he got to look at the access to that is only 21 inches, and the new air handlers are all 21 inches or wider. So he's trying to locate a replacement coil to put in there, so he doesn't have to tear out the thing to get the new thing in there. So he's working on that. We have not talked to him this week yet to see where we're at, but he is working on that to get on that coil and replace the outside unit.
It may not be a surprise, but we've had AC issues with EMS, the sheriff's office. I believe you all had some issues over there, Scott. Just heard from Becky Robinson yesterday with the court annex building. And where else, Molly? Was there another place? I mean, it's not surprising.
Community action.
There was
Community Action Agency.
of those 3 on back of EMS, there was one replaced not long after we moved into that building. Because when we got there, all 3 were original to the building. So once he replaces this one, we'll still have the one, which is 25, 26 years old. So we have to look into through the budget, just planning on replacing that eventually, because if the other 2 have gone bad, I imagine that one will be
Yeah,
next.
it's probably not far behind, but, just real briefly, because we need to move on, but, the Simmertech units, which some of you all may not be familiar with, it's a device that takes the moisture from the air, converts it to a 0.2% hydrogen peroxide gas. So it'll kill viruses and bacteria and mold and that sort of thing. We got those initially when we had an issue with mold in the sheriff's office. Since then, we've purchased smaller units that are permanently mounted in each ambulance, and we use them to sanitize the ambulances. But I told Chris, the The owner, Alton Holt, I believe is his name, will be coming in sometime here in the next couple of weeks. And I want him to analyze every county office and building. And I believe that that clearly would be something that we could use our ARPA money to purchase. And, you know, it's like this room, there's a type of his units that mount directly into the duct system of the HVAC system, which is more even distribution of it. And, but it's an added protection, I think, for all county offices. So he will be in, he's going to analyze our offices and give us his recommendation on what to put in each office, and we'll get some costs for you and present that to you all, and we'll need approval to purchase that. But we will do that through, and I intend to do that with all of the ARPA money, to do that through a series of resolutions, so that we can clearly point to that resolution and say, this is what we purchased, why we purchased it, and so that, you know, there would be no question later on about the use of our, the problem, of course, still exists for all counties, is what is acceptable and not acceptable use. I don't think there's any question this would be an acceptable use of ARPA money. But other things like the purchase of a new ambulance is up in the air whether that would qualify. That's why I asked you, if any of you run across information, you know, Doug gets correspondence from the Treasurers Association, and he passes that on to us. But there's still a lot of question marks. So.
The vaporized hydrogen peroxide is one of the two main standards. It's vaporized hydrogen peroxide, or UVC, ultraviolet, it stands for. Kind of been the standard for years in like surgical settings and hospital settings. We purchased the first Simmertex at EMS right at the start of COVID. Then we added the smaller ones in each ambulance. So the 2 units we have in the building do 2,000 square foot apiece. Then I got an ambulance, they do 500 square foot apiece. Also, we haven't had a single employee off with COVID since the start of it. And my guys have been in contact with COVID patients every day. So between proper cleaning, using the PPE, and the vaporized hydrogen peroxide, we haven't had a single full-time employee that was off with COVID. So.
All right, anybody else have any questions of Chris? If not, we're going to move on. Opioid litigation, Ken, I'll let you speak to that briefly. We do have a resolution.
Back up on the safety committee.
Did I miss the safety committee? Oh, I'm sorry, yeah, we need to go back up, I'm sorry. Safety committee, anything to report?
We have received the email from TACO referencing the required training classes that.
I think Brett was asking about that, okay,
and
good.
we'll be working on that to ensure that the county is up to speed, you know, on getting whatever training they need on an annual basis and new hires. Our safety meeting will be August, our first meeting of August. All the county department heads are encouraged to attend this because they're going to be asked to bring whatever safety documents that they've had within the last 6 months to that meeting. Chris, we also had an incident this past.
Yes. Paramedic Matt King was responding to a run off Elk Creek Road. Fell while on scene and struck his shoulder and his head. He is still off work with a shoulder injury, waiting on workman's comp to clarify everything to get him into a specialist. They don't know if he's going to require surgery or just injections at this time, so he's still off work on workman's comp.
He was sent for drug testing.
He was.
As broken. That's all I have.
All right, I appreciate that. Solid Waste Committee?
Nothing.
Okay, and Veterans Committee?
I have nothing.
All right, Equipment Committee?
Nothing.
Sure. I'll just add, and then I've talked, we need to still see what we can do about getting that corner vehicle. Yeah, you've been staying after them, so.
Getting the same, they got to have chips.
Yeah.
And we're trying to get it switched to 22 bid to bring back to court. We got the specs and everything to be the same, but we cannot get a price.
Okay.
And the automotive thing is a disaster, like, complete disaster. So
Okay.
dealerships all the way up to Ford Motor Company. And one of the main persons in charge of Ford Motor Company has just resigned and went to work for, I think it was Amazon. So, it's just, automotive thing is just a disaster right now. Unless you wanna pay through the nose or something.
Okay. Also, animal control, we need to replace that Tahoe. And the Parks Chevy truck, I told him to park it, it was just needing too many repairs. And it was, according to John up at Daughtry's, he said it was not safe, so.
I went over and talked to the guy in charge of the
John.
Not John,
Oh.
the other guy was there. And he said, I said, I need some information on that. He said, Jerry, so far I've done 219 cars this month, and I don't even remember looking at it.
Yeah, well,
I can't give you no.
talked to him, yeah, John is who,
He wasn't there at that.
oh, I wasn't, okay. It's far too much work, it's just not worth putting it, I think that's got 240 or 50,000 miles on it, and it's not worth putting any money into it, so. And then, so, yeah, that's it. We continue to work on that, and I know you have a telecommunications committee, Lord Everson's not here, but, he did move the camera, which was back above the clock, to over here, in the, frame of the quilt, display, and hopefully that'll correct some of the problems with that air conditioning unit when it kicks on. It's hard to hear. So now, with that, we've already dealt with the planning and zoning issues, and we'll move on to opioid litigation. There is just a short resolution that I prepared and passed it out earlier, whereas Spencer County Fiscal Court opted to join in the lawsuit regarding the negative impacts of opioids on our local communities, whereas the consortium of attorneys representing Spencer County and many other local communities have negotiated a bankruptcy settlement with Purdue Pharma, and whereas Spencer County Fiscal Court agrees with this recommended settlement plan, now therefore be it resolved, Spencer County Fiscal Court, Spencer County, Kentucky hereby approves the proposed settlement plan. They've asked that we pass a resolution on this to either accept it or reject it, and they need that back by the 9th, which is Friday, so I apologize for putting that into the...
Do we need a motion on that?
We do need a motion.
Motion to approve.
We've got a motion to approve the resolution,
I'll second.
and we've got a second.
Oh, we already passed that last meeting.
I wasn't aware of it. Were you aware of it?
I think we talked about it, but we hadn't had the resolution.
Okay. Well, we just gave you permission to go ahead and do it. Okay.
Yeah. We've got a motion and a second. Any comments, questions, or concerns? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. And Ken, I'm not sure whether it's appropriate to talk in open court about some of this litigation, but and I don't know that we really want to go into an executive session over it today, but I'll let you address it.
Yeah, I think
Whatever appropriate way.
when we actually get the numbers, so we can talk about the figures, that will be our chance to get into executive session and discuss it.
And there's a number of companies, this is just Purdue Pharma, there's a number of companies, so. Okay, well, if nothing else on that, nobody has any other questions, if you do, please contact Ken, I'm sure he'll help you with that. Next up is Little Elk Bridge replacement, and we bid that. We've got our engineers here. There's a recommendation to award that to Todd Johnson Contracting, for a total price of $202,787.49. Let's see here, there's Eric, you want to explain, there's a base price and an alternate for
Yes,
one?
sir. So the way we set this up is we have a base bid, which was just to demolish the old bridge, build a new bridge. That was base. Then we had an alternate one, which was to build the approaches to that bridge, with the thinking that if the road department had the resources, might save some money for them to do that work and then to build a retaining wall. It sounds like, talking to the road foreman, that they don't have the resources right now. So I believe the recommendation was to award Todd Johnson the base bid and alternate one.
Okay. And that's what we just need a motion to approve awarding that contract, which would be the base price plus alternate one.
That's correct, yes, sir.
To Todd Johnson Contracting. They've done work for us before, and very confident. In fact, we've gotten, I can't remember, did we award they're doing the East River Road Bridge?
That is correct, yes, sir.
And-
Along with Brashear's, no, I'm sorry, that's it. Yes, they are doing that.
They all kind of run together after a while for
That's-
me and you and everybody else. Anyway, they are a competent firm. And,
Yes, sir. They did Love Lane last year.
yeah, so just need a motion to approve awarding that contract.
What's the time frame on them?
Well, as it stands right now, the finish date is supposed to be November 15th of this year, but just let you know up front. Right now, still with COVID, there's a lot of problems with getting steel, lumber, so on and so forth. So that might move into next year off of the COVID, extension, if you will. Yes, sir.
Okay, and also, as we talked about on this particular project, this is a 80-20 bridge project. The county has allotted up to $80,000, or it's a $100,000 project, of which the state will pay $80,000. The county has to pick up the 20%. We've accumulated 2 years worth, which is a total of $200,000 now. The county is going to be responsible for $42,000, almost $43,000, which we'll be able to handle. But anyway, just wanted you all aware of that. So, did we get a motion in a second on that? Okay, I need a motion to award the contract to Todd Johnson Contracting on the Little Elk Bridge replacement base and alternate one.
$42,787.49, so moved.
Well, that would be the county portion. Okay. We also need to pay the contractor.
We have to pay for everything, yes, that's what I'm saying.
All right.
We have to pay for everything.
Okay, and that's in Brett's district. He unfortunately is not here, but I'm sure he wants to. Tim makes the motion. Second. And we got a motion, or a second by Squire Travis. Any discussion, comments, concerns? If not, call the roll.
Judge Rice,
Yes.
Squire Travis,
Yes.
Squire Jerry Moody,
Yes.
Squire Brewer,
Yes.
Squire Michael.
Yes.
Okay, so we'll go ahead and get that project started. You will generate a contract and that's, let's see, I'm sure we'll keep you straight on the progress of.
I'll email you the list. Yes, sir.
Yeah, you need a letter to proceed.
That's correct,
Yeah.
for their bid, so they can give to their bonding company.
Okay. All right, the other thing with regard, and I'll just bring that up now, since we're talking about the road department and so forth. I've asked Todd to give me a price from Mago, who is doing a significant amount of road paving right now in probably everybody's district, but we still need to repave Spear Drive now that that drainage project is complete. And then we've got the EMS parking lots, both the office and the ambulance barn parking lots that need to be repaved. And probably the worst is in front of the recycle center that needs to be paved.
Are these county roads or city roads? That's it.
Well, the Spears Drive is a county road. It ought, I agree, it should be.
It's in the city.
Yeah, there's
It is in the city, then why are we paving city roads?
yeah, because right now it's a county road, and my intention, well, you want to go negotiate with the city, then go ahead, Jerry, but we're not there yet, so. I've gotten the prices, and we will, I'll bring that back to the court for approval or not approval, whatever you want to do.
Is that something that could be included in the FEMA project?
No. That was not part of the drainage issue, so. But my.
Damage from the drainage may have caused some
Well,
issue.
and, that would be a stretch on some of it, but maybe perhaps some of it. But, anyway, I'll bring that back to you. Just want to let you know I'm working on that, in front of the recycle center. That I think it will cut down quite a bit on the dust that they get from trucks going back onto the Sweezy farm and so forth. But I'll let you all decide when you get the price. And, let's see. The other, there's nothing else on that. I don't think we need you all anymore, but anybody have any questions of our county engineers? And they do a terrific job for us. If not,
Eric, you've got, sorry, but I got an email from you that we're getting
That's correct.
the subdivision bonding and stuff back from you.
All of the final, it'll be one final draft.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
I do have a question from Mr. Neal. He put in, what is line extension or tap band?
So basically what that means
I was
is.
gonna ask you afterwards, but this is what you're gonna be leaving.
Sure. What that means is Division of Water has the authority to tell the owner or developer, anybody that wants to tap onto that system. They have the authority to say that we are not gonna tap onto that system anymore because capacity has been reached.
Okay. Just wanted to double check. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
you all don't have anything to do with spay and neuter cats,
Not
or
today.
library, or removing trees, so.
Give us time.
We do have invoices to approve that might be of interest to you, I don't know. Anybody have any questions of our engineers while they're here? If not, you all have access to them at any time you need them, so.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Next up is the 2021/22 proposed pay rates. That's in your packet. And, I know that, I'll just go ahead and make a motion that we adopt the proposed pay rates as presented.
Judge, I think before we do that,
Mhm.
something I'd like to bring up,
All right.
if you'd like to rescind that motion. If you don't mind.
Is it something we can talk about as a part of the motion? or-
No.
Okay, well, go ahead. Just go ahead. I'm not going to rescind my motion, but go ahead.
Okay. For several years, I've been watching, the amount of cash the county has. And we have, really a surplus of cash right now. When you take off the ARPA funds that we receive, right now, at the end of the fiscal year, we're sitting at almost $1.6 million in cash. We have also county debt that's been dwindling down. I think before we give out any raises, we should take this opportunity to pay off the remaining county debt. We certainly have the money to do it. And I think any individual that plainly see that their organization sitting with this much free cash should pay off the debt before they start increasing other bills. So I make a motion.
Well, I'm going to call it out of order. Look, Square Moody, you've had every opportunity to send us something, say, hey, I'd like to put this on the agenda, I'd like to look at eliminating our debt, okay? And I think there's some things to be considered on the debt. I just don't think that it's appropriate to bring up at this point. I'd be happy to put it on the agenda, would have been happy to have put it on this agenda, had I known you wanted to address that today. And I think just to blindside me or the court with this at this time is inappropriate. And I'm gonna call that motion out of order.
Well, I'm gonna make it
And-
anyway.
Well, okay, you can make it,
We'll
but
see
I'm
if
gonna
there's
call
a
it out of
second.
order.
And if
And
there's
I'm not
a
trying
motion and
to,
a
look,
second, then we'll vote on it.
Squire, you've had every opportunity, what, can
Well, I
you,
didn't
can you
make
tell
it.
me what, is there a reason why you haven't addressed this and asked for this to be on the agenda, or do we know, I mean, one of these, loans is a zero interest loan, you wanna pay that off?
Certainly, I won't be
Most,
there.
do you know when these are actually due?
I second the motion.
Well, the motion I've called out of order, and we're gonna move on with the agenda, and I think it's inexcusable, inappropriate to try to blindside this court or me with this at this time. So, the motion, I'm gonna make the motion that we adopt the proposed pay rates for our employees as presented. Appreciate a second, and then we can have some discussion about it. Are we gonna not, is nobody gonna second that motion? Okay, fair enough. I mean, I think, you know, let's just go on and send these messages to our employees that they're not important in this county. So we're gonna move on to the next issue.
Actually, I was into that with my motion.
Can we have some discussion on that? On the pay raises? I think the reason why we didn't get a second is because last meeting, we basically came back with the same thing again. And I've got some issues with the percentages that certain people are getting. And I made a recommendation to you on paper on what I would do, what I would recommend. But I never heard anything from that.
Yes, you did.
I think, I heard from it, but it was saying.
No,
You want to make that, you're saying that?
I've got it right here, Squire, the recommendations that you made, and I sent this back to you, amounted to a total of $10,389 on a $1,700,000 payroll.
That's not the issue.
So if you
that I
want to
had.
tweak, and, you know, as you all have had every opportunity from the last meeting to this, to give your input, to give your concerns, to make recommendations, I've heard from no one.
Oh, that's
My
not true.
office is-
That's
I
not
think-
true. You've got it right there.
It's not true.
But you ignored it.
All right, well, look, is anybody going to second the motion to adopt the pay rates? Then we're going to move on to the next subject. and
So
our
we can't talk
employees
about
are-
any of our recommendations right now? If it's not your recommendation, we can't talk about it.
Squire,
That
you want
is-
to, all you
that's
want
the
to do is
issue
what?
board is sending.
I'm going to give you the floor. Go ahead, Squire. Go ahead.
Well, back to my recommendation is that I think before we take on additional expenses, we should look at the past and take care of those. So with the research I did, it looked to me like we've got about $150,000 worth of debt. Is that correct?
Only we budgeted for the debt to be paid off this fiscal year.
Right.
It's in there, except for the EMS building, because it's 0% loan, and I'd say it wouldn't be much left on it at the end of the year.
Okay, so I considered doing it before the end of the fiscal year. A few times, I thought, well, I don't want to mess up the last fiscal year. But when we're sitting here with this much cash, we've got twice as much cash at the end of the fiscal year as we've had since 2015 in one year. So why would we not consider paying off the debt? It makes perfect sense to me that, number one, people talk about wanting economic development. In what sense Spencer County is separate from other counties in Kentucky? We'll pay off this debt today. We will be the only county government in Kentucky with zero debt. I think that should be a press release. Now, I don't know how other people feel about being out of debt, but I think that is certainly something that should be moved on. So again.
Squire, I'm not going to disagree with you. What I disagree with is you had every opportunity to say, Judge, would you mind putting, I want to bring up and talk about paying off the debt that the county has $150,000. Would you mind putting that on the agenda? I would have no problem with that.
So you
But
think
instead, what you do is you wait until fiscal court meeting and you come in here and you blindside me and try to jam it in on an agenda that this is not on the agenda. Do you make a motion to pay off the debt? Is that your motion?
Yes, sir.
I'll entertain that motion. Who's gonna second it? Jerry's gonna second it. All those in favor say aye. Aye. We will pay off the debt, okay?
Now, I have a recommendation on.
I think it's inexcusable, Mike, and you know that. Inexcusable, but that's all right. That's what I'm used to that. I'm used to that
I
from
know you
you.
think different from me, and I understand.
It's not that I think different from you. I think, respect. You have no respect, okay?
Let's move on.
All right, we're gonna move on.
So
We're not gonna do anything on debt, employee pay rates.
Still too.
Next,
So I did have a recommendation on raises I'd like to throw out there.
okay. Again, is this something that you sent to me, or Brittany, or anybody? Did you share this with anybody before the meeting, or is it?
It's just an idea of mine.
Okay.
And if it's, I thought it was appropriate to talk about these ideas in front of everybody. I mean, obviously, Jim gave you ideas that didn't go very far.
I've always welcomed your ideas, Mike. You have none until you sit at the table. And that's just inappropriate. So go ahead.
Okay, well, I looked through the, different raises and stuff, certainly have considered them. And looked at the amount of money, that those raises would cost, and your figure of $48,970.08. And instead of giving some big inflated raises, and then on this list, there's some, the individuals, there's actually some job titles that aren't correct. But instead of giving inflated raises to a few people, and not much to other people, we could give 3% raise to all personnel employed for more than 1 year, effective starting at the next pay growth period. And it'd be about the same amount of money. I think it's more fair to spread the money out evenly among all employees. So my recommendation would be to give a 3% raise to all personnel employed for more than 1 year, effective the start of the next payroll period.
Is that your motion?
Yes, sir.
I'll say.
We got a second. Call the roll, please.
Squire Travis,
Yes.
Squire Jerry Moody,
Yes.
Squire Brewer,
Yes.
Squire Mike Moody,
Yes.
Judge Riley.
I'm gonna vote no, and I'm gonna tell you why, because this would have, this is a slam to some of the employees. My vote is no, the motion passes. We will give a 3% raise to everyone across the board. Boy, the messages you send our employees is just horrible.
Now, for clarification, that's 3% for all, like girls' salaries, I know can't change.
No, you can't change it.
But that's 3% for, like the jailer wouldn't change, but any of the elected officials. But as far as the county attorney's secretary and the assistant, everybody else down on those 3%.
Everybody's on that list.
Now, will that affect the sheriff?
No, you're not.
You're under a budget.
Which y'all agreed to come back and visit later on in the year.
No, I'm gonna put all the employees under the sheriff's office or the clerk's office. They don't have to put up with this nonsense. Okay. So any other clarification you need, Doug, on that?
I just wanted to make sure that we were all on the same page, that
Yeah.
3% to everybody except the elected officials.
And the officers,
Okay. All right, next up, under new business, spay neuter grant. Absolutely inexcusable. This is opportunity for a spay neuter grant. I'll entertain a motion to apply for the grant. It's $3,000. We're going to provide a $3,000 match.
So moved.
We've got a motion. Second. Yeah, we've got a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Motion passes. Library trustee. We finally got to you, Deborah. Sorry about that. We've got a couple of
I wish
recommendations.
you'd gotten to me earlier when everybody was happy.
Yeah, I know. Well, I can tell you, the county judge is not real happy right now. Okay, my recommendation is to appoint Judy Miller to the library board. I entertain a motion to approve that appointment.
So
We've got a motion. we got a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. I will, I'll write a letter and give her my.
And I'm gonna call her when I leave here so I can get her orientation started.
Thank you
Thank
for
you
your
very much.
patience. Appreciate that. All right, tree removal quotes. This is for the Parks Department, both Waterford and Ray Jewell. Entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
And I'll second.
We got a motion and a second.
Discussion.
We only got one bid on this.
Yeah, that's my question.
Okay, what's the discussion? Go ahead, Jim.
Do we only have one bid on it?
Yes, ma'am.
I think normally, don't we try to get at least two, maybe three bids? You know, especially on something that's gonna cost us,
You don't want more bids?
$7,000.
Vote the motion down and in favor of getting more bids. Any other comments?
In this, we don't have to get two bids.
We don't have to, but
I
we'll
just
be
make sure.
transparent and,
That's true.
just spending the money, taxpayers' money.
Vote the motion down in lieu of getting more bids, if that's what you, any other comments? Call roll, please.
What's the motion for?
The motion is to approve purchasing, or the tree removal quote from Lopez Tree Service, $5,000 for the Waterford Park, $6,500 for Ray Jewell Park.
Okay. Judge Riley,
Yes.
Squire Travis,
No.
Squire Jared Moody,
No.
Squire Brewer,
Yes.
Squire Mike Moody.
Yes.
Motion passes. We will go ahead and get them to get those trees out of there. And next up, we got recommendation from the road foreman to hire 2 new employees. Tyler Stidham, S-T-I-D-H-A-M, at $14 an hour. You want to take these one at a time or both together? Okay, Jason, M-A-T-T, $14 an hour full-time. That would be for a 90-day probation period, and that's subject to drug screen and background check.
So moved.
We've got a motion,
Second.
and we've got a second. Any other discussion? Call the roll, please.
Squire Travis,
Yes.
Squire Jared Moody,
Yes.
Squire Brewer,
Yes.
Squire Mike Moody,
Yes.
Judge Riley.
Yes. We've got invoices, bills, and transfers. Need a motion to go ahead and take care of all those.
Make a motion to approve the bills, do any transfers necessary.
I believe that there is also an additional sheet
There it is.
that are actually 2 pages of AT&T, Time Warner, Post Office, Culver Electric.
I think they were telling us some utility bills and paid the actual last court meeting, that didn't turn out with the new.
Yeah, there was an error.
Okay, is that included, these are included in your motion and second?
Yeah.
Okay. Any other discussion?
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
The invoice date that we have there is 7/1/21 to 6/30/22. Is that what you were just?
No, that's not, no, that's not correct.
Clerk?
Well, that's our new fiscal year, it's gonna be 6/30/22,
But I mean, the invoices, they're not just.
They're not up to,
The 30-day period or whatever. It's,
that's,
the invoice date is on
I don't think we've entered in any invoices that's past what was just put in for the last few days. I don't think we've put in.
there is one other thing I would note, is that I noticed, this meeting, you've got all the invoices all in one batch, where before you had the road department and the jail fund separately. It makes it a lot easier.
They should be.
She said that this time it was an oversight that they all got lumped in together.
Who said that?
Brittany, whenever, because I asked the same question.
I didn't hear that.
So, no, she didn't, it wasn't a public conversation between her and I.
Okay.
Okay.
It is easier to see the road fund and jail fund and general fund all
Yes.
separate.
Yes, that's my point.
Okay, the motion is to approve paying the bills, do the transfers. Any other questions, comments, concerns? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. I'll entertain a motion to.
Oh, I got a question on clarification. I know we voted to pay off the notes. Do you want us to get the prices and put them on the bills for next time?
That'd be fine.
Or whatever, because the only thing I'm getting at is, I know we're gonna probably do a transfer to pay off the EMS bill. Because we didn't budget enough for it to pay off, but the others we probably did, so that's what makes sure.
Sounds rich.
Do we want to, just speak about it? That we probably should have made a motion to add that to the agenda. And then you guys made your motion, second voted.
Talk about this stuff. Okay. I was saying, the judging, that stuff that we talked about.
That's fine. I just want to make sure we covered.
But I like the way you think.
I think it's a good thing for the county to be out of debt.
Well, we got so much, $150,000.
But we're out of debt,
Yeah.
and we need to keep it that way.
Okay, we're gonna do it. Very easy to have something added to the agenda. Phone call, an email, very easy. But I get it, you know. Okay, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
We've got a motion, second, that was Jim Travis. Yes. All those in favor say aye. Aye. We are now adjourned. Make sure you.
I gotta follow that.
Sorry, you had to see that. But, yeah, I sent it to you and that's it.